Donald Trump is doing everything in his power to bring peace to Ukraine. But once again, he has learned that Vladimir Putin is not a credible negotiating partner. I just finished speaking by telephone with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. The call lasted approximately 1 hour and 25 minutes. We discussed the attack on Russia's docked airplanes by Ukraine, and also various other attacks that have been taking place by both sides. It was a good conversation, but not a conversation that will lead to immediate peace. Force could be more persuasive to the Kremlin than a diplomacy-only strategy. Therefore, in view of Russian crimes in Ukraine and the growing threat from China, which is threatening to invade Taiwan, the North Atlantic Alliance is changing its strategy and setting new, more ambitious goals. NATO is investing in cruise missiles, drones, and strengthening its air defense capabilities. Artillery will also receive substantial investment.
We have to invest in our air defense systems. We have to invest in our, let's say, long-range missiles. We have to invest in our maneuverable land formations, command and control systems. All of this has to happen. And these mean huge investments. We need all over NATO territory. And by the way, doing this will also equalize what we are spending with what the United States is spending. We, Canada and Europe, equalizing with the US. And we know this is important because we want a fairer NATO where all our allies spend the same.
NATO is playing with its cards on the table. It plans to increase its defense capabilities by 1/3. This means an increase in spending to 3.5% of GDP on defense and 1.5% on infrastructure, and it will apply to all member countries.
To be an alliance, you got to be more than flags. You got to be formations. You got to be more than conferences. You need to be combat-ready capabilities. So we're here to continue the work that President Trump started, which is a commitment to 5% defense spending across this alliance, which we think will happen, which we think has to happen.
For now, Polish President Andrzej Duda's idea of allocating 4% of GDP to defense is much more realistic, especially since there are many allies who are holding back, such as Germany, whose Bundeswehr is in a dismal state, as the German defense minister himself admits.
50,000 bis 60,000 Soldatinnen und
First, we need 50 to 60,000 more soldiers than we currently have. Only then will we start thinking about strengthening our combat capabilities. At the moment, this is impossible. We must first have the people, and then think about purchasing equipment. But, according to the Americans, there is no time to lose. NATO countries must produce more weapons and close ranks, because talks with Russia are not yielding results. And the threat, especially to countries on the eastern flank of the alliance, including Poland, is ever present. The decisions made at the summit of the North Atlantic Alliance are the result of 3 years of experience with full-scale war in Ukraine, but also the result of what is happening in the world. The Russians will only ever talk from a position of strength. That is why NATO member states must invest in defense. Tanks, fighter jets, warships, missile launchers, drones, air defense systems, soldiers and equipment, a protected eastern flank, and a well-trained army. This will ensure that Putin, or any other dictator, will not escalate conflict with NATO.